Ever wondered if your well-intentioned actions might be enabling your friend's bad habits? It's a question that isn't easy to answer. That's because there's a thin line between being a supportive friend and becoming an enabler. The line is so thin, in fact, that it's often blurred, making it difficult to differentiate between the two. Supporting a friend through their struggles is what friendship is all about, right? But what happens when our support inadvertently fuels those struggles instead of helping to overcome them? This is where the issue of enabling comes into play. Throughout this video, we're going to explore this topic in depth, using real-life examples to illustrate the subtle yet significant difference between supporting and enabling. We'll discuss the potential harm that can come from enabling and how to recognize when our good intentions might inadvertently be causing harm. So let's delve into the world of enablers and see how good intentions can sometimes lead to harmful results. First, let's understand what enabling really means. Enabling is a term we often hear, but it's not always clear what it signifies. In a nutshell, enabling refers to behaviors that shield people from experiencing the full consequences of their actions. This might sound like a good thing, right? Who wouldn't want to protect their loved ones from harm? But here's the catch. Enabling is not the same as helping or supporting. It's a crucial distinction that can sometimes get blurred. When we help or support someone, we're assisting them in overcoming a challenge or achieving a goal. It's a positive act that encourages growth, independence, and resilience. For instance, helping your friend study for an exam, or supporting them through a tough time. On the other hand, enabling often perpetuates harmful behaviors. It's like giving a person a fish instead of teaching them how to fish. Imagine you have a friend who is always late for appointments. If you constantly cover for them, making excuses or rearranging your schedule to accommodate their tardiness, you're enabling their behavior. You're preventing them from facing the natural consequences of their actions, and thus, they have no reason to change. The same applies to more serious situations, such as substance abuse or destructive behaviors. When we enable, we inadvertently become part of the problem, rather than the solution. We may think we're helping, but in reality, we're reinforcing negative patterns and potentially causing more harm in the long run. So why does this matter? It matters because understanding enabling is the first step towards recognizing it in our own behaviors and relationships. It's a complex issue, often rooted in our desire to care for and protect those we love. However, it's important to remember that true support empowers individuals to face their challenges and grow from their experiences. Now that we know what enabling is, let's look at some real-life examples. Consider the case of an overindulgent parent, constantly covering for their child's misbehavior. Picture the scene. The child breaks a vase, but the parent sweeps up the shards, telling the child it's okay, that they won't tell anyone. The child, unconcerned, goes on to break a toy next, and again, the parent reassures them, saying they'll buy a new one. This is a classic example of enabling behavior. The parent's intentions may be good. They want to protect their child from harm or disappointment, but in reality, they're teaching the child that they can avoid the consequences of their actions. They're subtly sending a message that it's okay to break things, because someone else will always clean up the mess. Now let's extend this scenario into the future. As the child grows into adolescence and then adulthood, their behavior continues unchecked. They might start to neglect their responsibilities, confident that their parent will always be there to pick up the slack. They might start to take their parents' help for granted, losing sight of the concept of accountability. In the long run, this could lead to a whole host of problems. The child might struggle with maintaining healthy relationships, as they've never learned to consider the needs and feelings of others. They might struggle with self-discipline and impulse control, as they've never had to face the consequences of their actions. They might even develop a sense of entitlement, expecting the world to cater to their every whim. And what about the parent? They may find themselves trapped in a cycle of enabling, constantly picking up after their child, even as the child grows into an adult. They may start to feel frustrated, overwhelmed, even resentful, but they may also feel guilty, thinking that it's their fault for their child's behavior. This example shows how enabling can lead to the development of bad habits and a lack of accountability. It's a stark reminder of why it's so important to set boundaries and enforce consequences, even if it's difficult in the moment. Now let's explore another example, a friend who constantly covers for an addict's destructive behavior. Here we have a friend who, with the best of intentions, is always there to pick up the pieces. They're the one who calls in sick for their friend, who pays their rent when they've spent their money on substances, who lies to their family about where they are and what they're doing. This friend is convinced that they're protecting their addicted friend, shielding them from the harsh consequences of their actions. They believe they're keeping them safe, holding them back from the edge of the abyss. But are they really? The truth is, they're not helping their friend, they're enabling them. In this scenario, the friend's actions are allowing the addict to avoid dealing with the consequences of their addiction. The addict never has to face the music, never has to confront the reality of their actions because their friend is always there to cushion the fall. The friend's actions are not just harmful, but potentially deadly, as they allow the addict to continue spiraling further into their addiction without any real repercussions. It's important to understand that in this situation, the friend is actually contributing to the addict's destructive behavior. By constantly covering for the addict, they're essentially giving them a free pass to continue their damaging habits. The friend's actions, though well-intentioned, are not only enabling the addict, but they're also reinforcing the idea that there are no consequences for their actions. This is a dangerous cycle, one that can have severe, even fatal consequences. The friend's enabling behavior may lead the addict to believe they can continue their harmful habits without facing any real consequences, leading them further down the path of self-destruction. This is a path that can lead to overdoses, serious health issues, and in the worst cases, death. It's a heartbreaking scenario, but it's one that's all too common. And it serves as a stark reminder that enabling, no matter how well-intentioned, can have serious, even life-threatening consequences. As we can see, enabling can have serious, even life-threatening consequences. But how do we break this cycle of enabling? Is it even possible? It might seem like a daunting task, but indeed, it is possible to break free from the cycle of enabling. It requires hard work, dedication, and a commitment to change. Let's delve into a few strategies that can be taken to stop enabling. Firstly, setting boundaries is crucial. This means establishing clear limits on what you are willing and not willing to do. It could be as simple as refusing to lend money or as complex as limiting interactions. This is not about punishing the person you've been enabling, but about protecting your own mental and emotional health. Secondly, seeking professional help can be a game changer. Therapists and counselors are trained to deal with situations like these and can provide guidance and support. They can help you identify enabling behaviors and provide strategies to change them. It's not a sign of weakness to seek help, but rather a testament of your strength and resolve to bring about positive change. Next, practicing tough love is essential. This might feel uncomfortable initially because it often involves saying no when you're used to saying yes. But remember, enabling someone often does more harm than good in the long run. Tough love encourages self-reliance and accountability, pushing the person you've been enabling to face the consequences of their actions and make healthier choices. It's equally important to recognize your own enabling behaviors. This might involve some self-reflection and honesty. Ask yourself, why am I enabling? What am I getting out of it? Do I fear confrontation or rejection? Understanding your motivations can help you address the root cause and take steps to change. And finally, it's important to remember that change doesn't happen overnight. It's a process that requires time, patience, and persistence. You may stumble along the way, but each step you take, each boundary you set, each no you say, brings you closer to breaking the cycle of enabling. Yes, breaking the cycle is tough, but it is necessary for the well-being of all involved. In this video, we've explored the concept of enabling and why it can be detrimental. We've delved into the difference between supporting a friend and enabling detrimental behavior. We've understood that enabling is essentially a misguided way to show affection, which can ultimately lead to harmful outcomes. We've seen the face of enabling through the lens of the overindulgent parent, who out of love, inadvertently encourages destructive habits in their child. We've also examined the scenario of the friend and the addict, where the friend, in a bid to maintain the relationship, becomes a facilitator of the addiction. But we've also learned that this cycle of enabling can be broken. Through setting boundaries, seeking professional help, and fostering genuine communication, we can support our friends without feeding their harmful habits or behaviors. Remember, true friendship is about support, not enabling. So let's strive to be the best friend we can be without enabling bad habits.